Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello, everyone. A big welcome wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Our show today is Creating a World of Possibilities, and I'm your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I'm just going to summarize as amplification of voices around the world. I am not an expert in this area, but we have someone who's been doing this for a very long time, joining us from Aruba. I want to say a big hello to all of our loyal followers and to our friends over at E360 TV. Hello, they're also live streaming the show to their various platforms. Our guest today comes to us from a very good friend, a person who refers many people to us. So I just want to thank everybody out there who is referring people. It's so important that we continue in this amplification of people getting their voices out there, that people have an opportunity to come and share. So we'd love to have you come and join us and share your voice. All right, let's get on with the show. So today's guest is very international, and we'll find out more about that. She's also a thought leader, a transformational coach, and an Amazon #1 best-selling author. We're going to get into that as well. Her name is Chindia Ilonka. Let's have her join us. Hello.
Hi, good to be here, Dr. Jacalyn, and thank you for all the beautiful work you do.
Oh, thank you.
Such an inspiration.
Thank you so much. Not only are you doing beautiful work, but you're in a beautiful place as well. Yes. Aruba, so special.
And it's special because this year's where Quantum Rebel was born, but we'll talk about that.
Absolutely. So you do your own work in terms of podcasting, and you're very empowering for people to get out there and speak their truth. You were talking a little bit backstage about how we're on the tipping point really of an evolution of looking at things differently, reacting to things differently. Tell us a little bit about how you got started down this journey.
I think it's a journey we all are on, and it's about sometimes we're not even aware that we are. And that's where your voice, when we talk about this, it becomes so important because we make others become aware that we are on a journey, that we are part biology. So it's what we see, in the mirror, but we're also part energy. And it's that wholeness of looking at our lives through that lens, what opens really the door to our humanity and really expanding who we are and how we show up in the world.
I love the term expansion and how we're showing up. So you and I have extensive training. People don't have training, right? Some people, they're watching the show right now and they're thinking, I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy that I have breath and that I can see and hear. So how is it that someone can take this journey of self-awareness and realize that their voice is important? It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, your voice is valuable.
Yeah, that's a really good question, Dr. Jacalyn. See, the thing is, we have a tendency in our world to want to have things to be very linear, so like we love taking classes and trainings where they'll tell you step 1, 2, 3, if you ABC, then you'll have these and these and these results. And there's a place for that, definitely. However, when it comes to our own personal growth, and that's where it's acknowledging that we are part of the quantum world, because and quantum is a big world, but basically it comes down to, at our deepest core, we're just, energy cells that are bouncing around. And collectively it creates us and the world around us. So we don't have, it's like, just like you don't have to really understand exactly how your car works and all the details about that, but we do drive the car. It's also it's important that we don't get bogged down in trying to understand everything, how it works, but to understand the principles. And that is seeing ourselves through an expansive lens, knowing that the world is not about that quantum part of us opens us up to possibilities and probabilities. So it's not certainty. I can tell you, these 3 steps will help you to do ABC, but your path and my path and the path of the listeners will all be unique. However, there are certain what I call through lines and principles that are timeless. And for example, one of them is really what I call, in the 7 shifts of transformation, is becoming a master of awareness. Now, the question you asked, now, how do I even get to that point? And I think that brings I can give you an example of my own story, where when I was working in the US for 20 years, I felt like, the gerbil on the wheel going around and around and around and around. And I had no idea. I would come, leave home in the morning, it was dark, come home, it'd been dark. And you ask me, look, what did you do all day? I'd be like, I don't really know. What did I do all day? And that kind of set me on my path of, is this it? And really feeling, and always having that innate voice inside, but really dimming it down, and not even in the beginning, not even being aware that there was anything inside of me guiding me forth. Long story short, it brought me eventually back to the birth island of my mom, Aruba. And it's in that slowing down, walking on the beaches. Not everybody has a beach, but we can walk in the park, not with all this music and all this, the modern stuff that keeps us occupied, but listening to the wind and calming the body down. You see, in our modern world, our modern humans, we have normalized being in stress. It's almost like the cool thing. And even if, and I went through this myself, not even realizing that my body was in stress. And when I thought I, was doing all the meditations and all the stuff that I was there, through years and years of, relentless, stress-filled life, the body needed to relearn how to get back into balance, into its natural state of balance and harmony. And so I would say the key is getting back to that deep sense of balance and harmony inside of us, the actual body. That opens the key to us even starting to be open to, or even hear anything else than just the busyness of the modern world that we're in.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That was very comprehensive and makes a lot of sense. So I'd like to talk about, on your website, your time is now, and answer the call of the future. And I'd like to kind of just peel it back a little bit. I have a great niece and a great nephew, and just watching them and their innocence and the wonder and the joy, and even getting on the floor and playing the little games with them is tremendous. And then at some point, as it happens with people, all of a sudden someone will say, don't do that, or don't say that. And then things change. And so wouldn't it be great if we could get back to that playful side of ourselves from when we were children? So when you think about your time is now and answering the call of the future, does that parlay or relate at all to that childlike wonder or that curiosity?
I love what you say, because in many ways it is about coming back into because that, and I call it your inner child, because our inner child never left us. We may have grown older and wiser, hopefully, And that's the part of the body. The body keeps growing, but the inner child that was inside never left us, except through, just as you say, we'll get so many negative conditioning from the outer world, and many times unintentionally, and it's about unlearning a lot of that, and not just it goes so very deep, because it's not just things that we may have learned in this lifetimes. These are cultural things that have been going on for eons, where we have just come to accept certain things as this is just the way it is. And many things are so. That's why I find it so beautiful. I call it about, that we're really stepping into a more expansive and, where it doesn't have to be either or, like before it was either business or impact. Now we are, we can look at the world and say, hey, especially coming from that childlike way of viewing the world, that curiosity, why can it not be both? And it's different than fighting against the system. It's really about creating the new. Some of the systems, because we have a lot of old systems and structures. If you just look at our schools, we come into school, and I had the same thing. I was a very creative. I mean, I would write things, tell stories, but the moment I went into the school system, unknowingly, I just kind of realized that I was doing things differently. I used to talk to my plants, talk to my animals, and I thought it was very normal, until I got to school and I said, oh, nobody else does that. And all where we were doing was, this is the way it is, step 1, 2, 3, and all the creativity. It just kind of, it gets almost dimmed. But again, not intentionally, but those are the systems and structures, for example, of the school systems, were good for many, many, many ages ago. But we're evolving, and we're becoming a different humanity as we're growing, and that means new systems, new structures. It's education, it's at work. So there's so many places where innovation and new ways of seeing things and doing things are really not only needed, but are wanting to sprout up. And that's where my passion comes in. And I love what you do also. Is giving a platform and a space to amplify those voices.
Yes, as we mentioned in the beginning about amplifying your voice. And so also I noticed on your website that you have Be the Quantum Rebel you were meant to be. So in this case, rebel is a positive thing. Is that true?
Definitely, definitely. It's about, because you said something very important, and that when we're children, we don't see division. We see through the outer, but it's when we get into the conditioning of how things have are in different cultures, different countries, that we get affected by these things. And I lost my train of thought. Yes, as a rebel, that's the rebel part, because you are having to, and that's why I said it's important not to go against, but you have to find. It's about going within, and first finding out who you are. I've worked with many leaders, and they always tell me, "Oh, look, tell me exactly what to do." And I said, it starts with a person. Every morning when you wake up and you see that person in the mirror, that's who it starts with. And then there comes a place, and so I do, in my book, I do talk about execution, but I call it quantum execution, because nothing is just linear. It's not just all rational. It is part rational and logical. But when we open up to the possibilities, where inspiration can come through, that's where now inspiration becomes a strategic force, because I can be much more creative in my business, in my career, when I am connected with the depth of who I am, and I am in balance and harmony, instead of this stressed little gerbil going around and around.
I'm picturing it now. And I think I was there with you as well when I was in corporate. And I know when I was in corporate, I loved what I was doing. I loved the money I was making, but I don't think I had 1 ounce of creativity whatsoever. And now I'm being creative all the time, not making the same kind of money. So it's the exact opposite, but having so much fun. And so I'd love to have you share with our audience the fact that you are also, and please make sure that I'm not saying this incorrectly, but you're a soul heart awakener. Basically, you help people awaken their souls. And in doing that type of work, that can be a huge eye-opening experience for people. So who is it that you typically work with to awaken their souls?
So I would say, so what I found through my own experience is that beyond personal development, so the people that are most attracted to this message have gone through their own personal development, where you're not anymore in the victim thing. It was like, oh, it's all those people that are causing all this stuff to me. We realize that we are a creative force, and that we can't probably change the world just like that, but every little drop makes a difference, and when we come together, we create ripple effects. So in my own experience, I realized that I remember when my first poem bundle, when I had the courage to finally self-publish that, and I thought, oh, Ilonka is now ready for the world, because I never knew that I could write. I never knew that these poems and beautiful wisdom would come through me, but they did. And so I was like, okay, now I'm ready to share this with the world. And then I realized that I was just beginning. And that is the part where, and I call that quantum expansion and soul mastery. I can't awaken anybody's soul, but what we can do together by creating the space and the environment, and learn to show up in a different way in our world, in our own lives. And that's why I always say it's about life, leadership, and business. Whether you're in business or you are a corporate leader, when we start from ourselves, starting in our own lives, and then showing up differently, that's when we start to have the impact and start to even make more money than you used to in the corporate jobs, and get to a point where we have now these leaders that are creating new businesses where people love to come to work, where they're being rewarded for who they are, and that's what I talk about. I go back to the tipping point then, so it definitely is not for everyone, because you do have to, I can't convince you, this is not a forced thing. You have to feel it and you have to be ready for it. So it's more about resonance and us coming together. And just like how we found each other, we didn't know each other before, but our lives now converge and we start meeting each other.
Absolutely. And we met for a reason. And I always say that to people, that when an opportunity comes to you, open the door, walk through, see where that can take you. And something that I really love is collaborations and bringing people together so they can have their own projects. So when you think about the Quantum Rebel and you think about the people you've worked with, what are some key takeaways, maybe from the learnings that they had, that you can share with our audience?
I think some of the biggest learnings is that we don't realize our own power, and even the best of us, we get stuck a lot of times in, and I get this myself too, that we get stuck in the doing. It's like, even when I have a project, sometimes I just keep going and going and going, and then realizing, oh my goodness, Ilonka, if I had just taken a break, and I do that now. So, I notice in the moment, and I go out and I walk under the trees, take half an hour, take a break, come back, and all of a sudden I realize that I'm so much more creative. I can be there. I don't get snappy to my mom who wants something, that is maybe in my mind asking me right at the wrong time. We become better people for the ones we love, but also those who we serve. So it's our level of showing up in the world. And what I've seen also is that many of us don't realize the gifts we have within. And what I found that being around and guiding others, that it's almost like giving them permission to rise and to really step into their highest level voice. Because here's somebody now that not only believes in me or believes in you, but really empowers me to go like, okay, this is the new way. And that's why I love the movie Paying It Forward, because every time we inspire somebody else to step into, I call it really stepping into our greatness in a very humble and still humble way, yet still owning that that beauty and that who we are. And it's almost like giving them permission and seeing them fly and open up their wings is it's just very gratifying.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. I feel the same when we have TV show hosts who start here sort of like just getting to understand what to do. And then all of a sudden I say, go and fly on your own. You've got this. It's a tremendous feeling.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about your book. Let's bring up your website so people can actually see the book. Do you have it with you there, Quantum Rebel?
Yes, I do. Of course.
So
There
here it
she
is on the website, which is quantumrebel.com. And for our friends who are listening on an audio platform only, it's TheQuantumRebel.com. All right. Tell us what we need to know about this fabulous book.
So Quantum Rebel is really about finding that visionary voice that is within you and really amplifying and stepping into the world as your true authentic self. I always say it's some of us will have big, I call them revolutions, because we are in a world where, again, in a very positive way, I call it a revolution because it's a revolution of love. It's not one of violence, because that doesn't, it's a totally different energy, but it is a revolution because it's shifting in a totally different and more different way of being. And it's always been there, yet it's not been always, how do you say that, accepted. But you see more and more that people are resonating with this. So Quantum Rebel is really about that, is amplifying your visionary voice and be the change that you wish to see in the world, whether it's in business, whether it's in leadership, whether it's in, a movement that you're making. It doesn't matter the size of your initiative or business, but it's really the depth of the transformation that you bring about into the world, and that only can uniquely come from you. And it's that awakening, and that's why I started the podcast Visionary Voices Unleashed from Quantum Rebel. It is that it's really time now that we need, and people are really wanting that type of new leadership to also give them permission to amplify their voices and be their unique selves and be more. Sometimes people say, oh, that's so woo woo. Well, that's okay. It may sound, and woo is, again, that's putting things into containers. It's really about owning all of who we are. It's about the rational part, the biology, but also the quantum part of who we are. And that's what Quantum Rebel is really about, and impacting through who we are and how we show up in the world, impacting those around us. And so I love how business can be a positive force for change. And then I found that too in my own way, in my own launches. And when I not as an afterthought, oh, this is going to be good for the taxes and stuff. No, when it's part of the vision that what I bring into the world it's good for me, because of course we also have to be uplifted. but it's also uplifting others. When it's that, and there's this natural, how do you say that? This natural principle that takes place where things start to move in ways that we could not imagine. So that's what Quantum Rebel is about.
Thank you so much. We'd love to have you read from your book if you'd be open to that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Do you have something you would like me to read, or?
I think a part that maybe somebody who is questioning themselves and maybe in a relationship or a situation that's not working, and they're really looking for something to help bring out their rebel.
Okay, let's see. I'll go to chapter 2, which is remembering your soul's big why. And I'll start, and I might skip to the other ones, skip some, so just for the sake of time. So our journey toward profound awakening genuinely takes off when we attune ourselves to life's highest vibrational frequencies. I like to refer to these as our love level of vibrational energy. This alignment heightens our sensitivity to the gentle nudges of our inner spirit or the divine within. Moreover, it makes us more receptive to what I call the universe's whisperings of the wind, which gently convey life's timeless wisdom to our soul. As we immerse ourselves in a consistent state of balance and harmony, we're afforded glimpses into our soul's intentional purpose. Within this pure and grounded state of being, we enable our body, the earthly vessel of our soul, to fully integrate, merging body, mind, heart, and soul. And this heightened human experience represents what we term the emergence of the quantum human. Such an evolved being, the quantum human, naturally operates at the pinnacle of love, resonating with the vibrational frequencies of love, joy, peace, and bliss. How was that, Dr. Jacalyn?
That was brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you for the reading. What about when someone is excited about finding the inner rebel and sharing their voice, but the people they live with are not supportive, or maybe the people they work with are not supportive for whatever the reason is, and every time they take one step forward, they're getting chastised or they're getting ridiculed, and sometimes people don't have a strong enough why to continue on. But how do we deal with that when we're not getting the support that we need?
That's an excellent question, because in some way or another, we all deal with that at different levels. And I'll give shades of answers. The first one, I usually, and I did this for a long time myself, I tell the clients I work with, it's like a test tube. Sometimes we have to keep our ideas when we are not fully ready yet to stand strong, no matter what anybody says, because it's still a process. I'm like, it's just like the when you're in the lab testing things out, you don't come out and start, telling on TV all you're doing, because you're still in that phase where you're, not actually sure how everything works. So that's part that you keep it, kind of safeguards like a baby, but by you being so almost in love with who you are and what you do, you will start attracting people that will acknowledge who you are and what you do. That does take time. Now, given that, you can also have situations where even after you stand up into your own, you'll still can be around work places, maybe even home, where it's not that they don't understand you, they just they ridicule you. Now, there is a process of shedding sometimes, and people sometimes, when there's loss in our lives, that is part of nature. Some people, you're not, it's not good for you to be around, And it does this. So that's why this journey it's a non-linear journey. I have taken many steps where I stepping in the unknown and like, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Because I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. But something inside me said, Ilonka, keep moving forward. Quit this job because it's all toxicity, and then, on being unsure. And I remember, for example, my dad calling me and I was telling what was happening. He said, Ilonka, why don't you start your own business? That was the one spark I needed to step through, so those are the whisperings of the wind. They come into the people we meet, but we do have to be open and hear and listen to those and take them seriously, knowing that we are a filter. Sometimes we will incorrectly interpret these things, and so the more, especially the part that I read, the more we purify this earthly vessel, which sounds very, kind of abstract, but it really comes down to what we talked about, all those conditioning that we have, it's been absorbed to our brain. You can't do this, you can't do that. If you do this, you're not good enough, blah, blah, blah. That has become part of the programming. So as we start reprogramming who we are, we start standing stronger into who we are. But it will, at some point, you will start creating and attracting the people who resonate with you, but it's also it will fall off. Those that do not resonate with you, they may be leaving your orbit now. And then there's the third possibility. You can't get rid of everybody in your life. Sometimes they're there for a reason. And I've seen it, like, for example, my mom, I love her to death, but there was a time that I would see her and say, Ilonka, you're an adult. What are you doing back here? I sometimes have felt like that little girl again. And I realized that I had to deepen my level of love for another person, and not wanting that person to accommodate me, but by me, even if somebody is being, kind of negative toward me, I have a choice to remain at my highest level of love. And by being that level of love, all of a sudden, I notice changes in the other person around me. So sometimes people are in your life also to help you come up higher. So it's those nuances, and it's all of that soup that happens in our lives.
Brilliant. I agree with you as well. And I think another aspect of your work that's also in alignment with mine is listening to your intuition, and also listening and observing. How are you judging what someone else is saying? Are you judging? Are you fully engaged? And maybe part of being that quantum rebel is the fact that you can listen without judging someone, that it doesn't have to be, well, you're right and I'm wrong. It could be, that's an interesting perspective. I never thought of that. What are your thoughts about how judgment can get in the way of someone being all that they can be?
You just hit the nail, Dr. Jacalyn. That's why I love what you do, because listening, I remember one of my big role models was Dr. Stephen Covey. And he said to us once that, the deepest need of the human soul is the need to be heard and to be understood. And I thought I was a very empathic listener until I realized, we were going through the process like, oh my goodness, I was in my head. On a personal level, was fine. But in business, I was, in my head, I could hear myself thinking, how am I going to react? And I had to learn that I wasn't really listening then anymore, because I'm actually being in my own head and not really being there for the other person. And so what you say, the listening part is so important, because, and in Quantum Rebel, I say too, there is no place for judgment. It's not that we're all going to be happy singing Kumbaya together, but there is this place where I can grow into, and I'm still a work, and I call it, we're moving from a work in progress to a work in acceleration, but it's still a process, learning to listen and not judge what the other person is saying, because it's through that we can connect from the heart, where and they may learn something about what you bring, and I may learn something what they bring. But judgment is something that just muddles that all up, because I'm fully in my head then when I start to judge.
Thank you so much. I hope that people are really sitting down and taking this all in, because you're bringing up so many incredible points for people to actually find inner peace. And with that
Yes.
inner peace, imagine how people would get along. This world would be
Yeah.
truly amazing.
Yeah.
I noticed that we're coming towards the end of our show, but what I'd love to have you share now is, what does an engagement with you look like? If someone wants to reach out to you, what does that process look like? And then what are some of the steps that are involved?
So the way that we engage with a Quantum Rebel is, there's several entry points. One is that and it's launching in March. We're starting those interviews. We created also a platform for other visionary voices to come and share and have this, to explain, to have deeper talks about how they show up in the world. That's one. The easiest way, if you're not sure, is this book For Me. You can get the first chapter for free. It gets you connected to us. And there's a complementary Quantum Rebel Collective, which is a community of high vibrational, like-minded visionaries. And it is complementary, but we do go through an application process. We want to make sure that we resonate at the same level, and so that's one. And then we have actually this will be coming up in March, which will be the what I call a gateway Quantum Rebel activation, where you go through a retreat intensive, where and I collaborate, because I do believe in collaboration. So I collaborate with three others, visionaries also, that will be working on. It's based on the 7 shifts of transformation, but we're really looking at that first part also of the relearning and allowing the body to come back in its pure essence. So, and that one is it will be up soon. It's not up on the website yet because we're doing that, but it's those 3 gateways that the retreat intensive is, of course, is a paid you do choose to invest in that, and then from there, we open up to different things. But it's the chapter. If you're not sure if the book is for you, you can come into the quantum, or you can apply to come into the Quantum Rebel community. We're planning to have monthly book club, where we allow transformational authors to really help us think deeper about our lives in different ways. So it really gives them, my mission is really to uplift these beautiful voices that are bringing in the new ideas, the new ways of living and leading. So yeah, those are that in a nutshell, I would say, are the ways to engage with us. And we're on social media. I must say that I'm not constantly on social media, but I keep that in balance also. But those are ways that people can engage with us. I don't hear you.
Thank you so much. We are showing the website right now for people who are on the audio platform only. It is thequantumrebel.com. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on this show. Thank you so much.
Same
what would
here.
you like to
Thank
leave
you.
our audience with today as we close out?
So I would really say, this is your time. This is our time. It is, some people may look at the world and go like, oh my goodness, where it's all going through. And I invite you to look at the world and see the possibilities that lay before us. But it does take each one of us to step into that most authentic version of ourselves, and to find that depth of who we are. And that's why I call it soul aligned leadership, and stepping into our lives from that pure, intentional state. And together, we are making this world a better place. So that's the inspirational message, and that's inspiration is not this woo-woo thing. It's actually it's a strategic gateway to, more creativity, more resilience, better income, revenue, wealth, because you get creative ideas that you don't get when you're a stressed out body.
Very true. Thank you for bringing it all together for us. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you again on this or one of our other shows.
Same here. And we'll definitely stay connected, Dr. Jacalyn. And thank you for what you do and bringing all these beautiful topics and shows into the world.
Thank you. My pleasure. And of course, on behalf of our team, thank you for coming here and sharing your voice with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. If you're out there watching on a platform, could you please go over to YouTube and subscribe to our channels? It's USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. We're also on E360 TV, Zizzle TV, as well as Amazon and a whole host of others, of course, social media. I'd like to just give a shameless plug for my own book, Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. This book is available on Amazon, also on our websites. And in here are 2 quizzes for you to test your own listening skills. People always tell me, oh, I'm a great listener. Meanwhile, there's strife everywhere in their life. And so I ask, can you revisit it? Are you open to learning so you can have deeper connections, more authentic conversations, and better relationships? Pick up this book over on Amazon. Thank you. All right, we're going to close out now, hear from some of our sponsors, and our next show is coming up. It's a woman's prerogative. So this is part 1. We have a woman's prerogative twice every Monday, and we'd love to have you join us on that show as well. All right, we're going to close out now with a sponsorship about listening, and then we'll be right back with the next show. Bye for now.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacalyn.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacalyn.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.